Okay, let's have a look
so
at
let's
this
have a look what
crazy
this
thing.
particular,
Now, you
how we
know
can
that
think
if you
creatively
type,
about this one.
My name is
I've got this video,
Ania.
let's have a look what I did yesterday.
Okay, well, let's start first correct. Okay, so if we do that, effect, none, language English, and so on.
My name is
This
Ania.
free,
Okay, I typed
right?
children can do anything there.
Funny, I moved my... I moved the... Look at that, I'm moving
So
the
no effect.
mouse and it goes with it. I mean, if I have so much fun with it, what do you think that kids will do? Alright, let's just make the avatar say it.
My name is Ania.
Well, kids love
My
it.
name is Ania.
What does it
My
do?
name
It
is
creates a
Ania.
pleasant atmosphere in your
Now,
classroom.
in case you don't speak, if you don't know about the non-English speakers, sometimes it's
All of
actually
us.
good to do the filter thing.
My name is Ania.
I didn't
My
actually
name is Ania.
make the movie broad enough for you to see actually what's in the filter, so we're just gonna play with this one. So if someone misspells it,
What is it
says
also teaching them?
Name,
I mean, not this
instead of
particular
name,
one,
they
actually.
say right N-A-M. Let's see what will happen.
Isn't it empowering?
My name is Ania. My name is Ania. My name is Ania.
And it moves.
My name is Ania.
So that's funny.
Different, isn't it?
It's pleasant
So
in the classroom.
if they misspell
No
it
stress.
completely,
All of us.
My name is Ania. My name is Ania. My name is Ania.
Right?
My name is Ania.
If you misspell it, she reads it differently.
Healthy.
What do they
So
learn?
you can see that the
How you
advantage
spell
of the
matters.
avatar is it actually
And it sounds
tells
different.
you what you wrote. Isn't it great? For example, when children, so it's an instant feedback, and they can do it in pairs, laugh at each other, and have fun, each of them. So it's not like 25 looking at you explaining, but each of them, if they do it on an iPad, and I'm not saying use the iPad 24 hours a day, but say on the iPad, or even each of them has a go at the whiteboard for a while, or even on their personal computers if you have them. But look at this, it's very nice. So home, okay, instead of O-M-E, which is right, H-O-M.
Home. Home. Home.
Alright, and then we can write next to it home. So
Home. 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 Home.
so children can actually hear how different ways of spelling what they think could be the word they want to write, how they sound. Now you can see there are different here filters or effects. You can play with them, and even so, when you actually stop thinking of those effects in a typical conventional way, but start thinking a bit critically. So for example, I'm very sorry I didn't make it big enough, but if I take echo and I say whether you spell a duck this way or like that, or like, so let's say duck. If you have foreigners like me, honestly, you get everywhere. So D-U-C-K, A-C-K, and like that, alright? And we've got an echo now, so we'll see what happens, okay?
Duck, 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 duck.
Definitely there are different versions, right?
Duck, 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 duck.
And now you could actually think, if you're trained already in school, people will say, well, children don't hear it clearly, we need to give it to them as it is. Well, and how is it? What's the answer? Well, I'll give you the answer here, what it is. What it is now that children are learning, that how you spell, a different sound will appear. This may actually be obvious to us, but it's not obvious to children, because really for them is, where's the argument? Duck, 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 same thing, right? Could be anyway, they want to get on with play. And when we actually
duck, 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 duck,
they're gonna have fun with it, you know. So if the interactive mechanism is also very funny. I don't know, what's a bullhorn? Wow, I don't even know what it is. Well, let's have a look what it will sound like.
duck, 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 duck.
Right, and
Duck, duck, duck.
All right, so if we go back to Nan and we want a duck, right? So let's have a look which one. I wonder whether you can actually, there's a duration, you can make it slower. And I'm just gonna leave it as it is at this very moment. So
Duck, duck, duck. Duck, duck, duck.
okay, well maybe let's play with duration. Longest, oh, I can't see. Okay, so what is it? Longest, duration. I wonder what that means. Shorter, shortest. Let's go for shortest. Let's see what that means.
Duck, duck, duck.
Oh, that's what it meant.
Duck, duck, duck.
I think we just go for the longest, hey? Alright, so.
Duck, duck, duck. Duck, duck, duck.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Duck, duck, duck. Duck, duck, duck.
And now, especially with children who don't speak English in a native way, but I guess all children will benefit from it. You can now, when you do the duration, you do it on the longest, you really can hear the sound and text relationship, that there are differences.
Duck, duck, duck. Duck, duck, duck.
It's actually amazing for me because I might sound pretty okay in English, but I actually, you wouldn't believe it, I can't hear. Normally I wouldn't hear the difference, but this time I do hear it.
Duck, duck, duck.
It's amazing.
Duck, duck,
I'll
duck.
play it tomorrow because it is so awareness raising for me. Anyway, so even as look at her, even a simple device like this one could be quite helpful in awareness raising, especially because children can now try to play. So if my name is what? Oh, people have amazing names like Jaden, that's easy, but we've got a girl, Jaden, and I don't remember exactly how to spell her name, but people could try themselves.
Jaden. Jaden. Jaden.
Okay, but if we had with an E, which is the thing that the Polish person would want to do.
Jaden. Jaden.
Okay, so let's have both. And let's do the duration. And let's do longest. Let's see what happens, okay? I want to see whether there is a difference.
Jaden, Jaden. Jaden, Jaden. Jaden, Jaden.
I think I can hear the difference.
Jaden, Jaden. Jaden, Jaden.
Yes. Okay, so you can see how much we can actually squeeze out of this little avatar. There are other things like phase. I have no idea what's this phase here. Phase is on or I don't know. Let's have a look.
Jaden, Jaden. Jaden, Jaden.
Kids will love it.
Jaden, Jaden.
Now, of course, you don't have it in school, but you can actually push your computer person to actually buy this AVS audio recorder, and whatever children actually produce, you can record. So look, for example, and it's a simple, I think it just costs nothing. I don't know, $70, $60. I'm sure there are cheaper ones, and there are free ones that come with computers, right? With iPad and all of that. But I buy this one because I can do things with it. So, anyway, so as you actually, so you can put this on the side, right? So outside of the frame, and as the avatar is talking, you can actually click here, start recording, and you can record yourself. You can record the avatar saying your text, and it's recorded, and then you can insert the recording into the children's work. See how much creativity we can squeeze out of it. So you see, the simple, and I use this very software to record our lectures. So I press start record, and then I talk, and you can talk forever. I don't know how many hours it records, and then you go stop recording, and there is the file. Record, and then I talk, and you can talk forever. I don't know how many hours it records, and then you go stop. Right, as simple as this. So I'm just showing you things, and as the semester goes on, I might give you some of my ideas, but I have to tell you, I am old and limited. I would love you to actually see whether you can see the relevance of it, how would you play with it, and do use the fact that technologies for empowerment. Kids love lots of things. People love seeing themselves on pictures, hearing themselves producing things. They love their own text to be there. So while Cinderella and all the other text you'll be using with little children are great, kids also love typing their own names in 5 different ways and hearing them pronounced and think to themselves, well, this is hilarious, this woman can't talk, and they will giggle and all of that. So you see, we've got a bit of room to play with these things.
So what do? They have power. They can make that avatar read anything. That's powerful. They see the relationship between the voice and the letter, the voice and the letter. Still teaches them. It teaches them that there are rules. Now, they type. What happens? When children type, what happens? Any idea in terms of reconstruction and objectives which are social? How would you justify? Children type HOM, not you. What happens? Whose objectives are they following? Their own. Makes sense to me to write HOM. I'm just going to test that avatar. In terms of social world, how interactions function, they're not going to assess it, the HOM, in relation to what they know about the world, not what you tell them, what they know. And what happens? It sounds hum. It's not home. So what are they learning? The relationship between spoken and written. I mean, nowhere in the world you will find anyone patient enough who will sit with children until the cows come home and pronounce anything they type. Now, I swear to you, they do it at home forever. Echo. It does have effects, right? What I was testing also is whether if you spell duck or D-A-C-K, which is what I would spell being Polish, because duck and duck is the same to me. You'd be surprised, but it is. But they are small. They still have access to their chimp skills, which is like children for quite until they're 11. They can learn any language without an accent. They can hear it. Not as good until they were about 2 years of age, but still pretty good. So they can hear the difference between duck and duck. And they spell different versions. And they can rap it. Why not? Makes it all nice. Teaches them resilience skills. Why resilience? Because whatever I did was good. I didn't offend anyone. I was just playing. Have you seen that in your prac? Because in the prac they want them to write triangles. Look how many relationships they are testing in their head when they go through all of that. It's not you saying from here, from the square with the roof to a triangle. They're testing all kinds of possibilities. At the age of 3 or something, they have more neurons than they ever will have. Okay, so I was playing, I was having fun. Now this is very important. Why? I will stop that video. You know why it's important? It's filtered. We teach filtering. I spend a lot of time actually filtering sounds in order to increase perception of pronunciation, because my brain runs loops that are appropriate to your voice, your voice, your voice. But when you exaggerate, don't you exaggerate with children? When they are little and you want them to walk, what do? You hold their feet. You say, whatever their names, come up with a name, I can't think, Bob, that's a good German, English name. You hold their feet and you go, one to the front, next one, You're not doing that when they're 30. But you do that for the fun of it and for awareness raising, all of that when they're little. You teach them balance in many different ways. You exaggerate things. Even when you talk to little children, if you spoke like this in the classroom, we would think you need help, right? I mean, you don't talk like that in classroom, right? So we exaggerate a lot of things, and that's what filtering does. You have children who are from non-English speaking backgrounds. They will benefit from that filtering. Different way of perceiving. Different way means what? Breaking the loop. So while these things, when you have an eye which is not trained like mine, and you don't see these things, so you may see, oh, well, so you change duration, so what? Well, you change the man to the woman, so what? So is Avatar talking. Is Avatar enabling children to hear what they type? Also, to hear in more than one way. Notice I wrote dark, deck, dog, or something, right? Well, don't we teach that these things matter? Yeah, but they typed it. They can hear them. And when they change the effect, they can hear those things said in many different ways. Really good for people who are from a different language, and even from students from Australia, native speakers of English. But for anybody, but especially for ESL students, excellent thing. Because I will not hear the differences when the natural voice says them. But when an exaggeration happens, like with that funny computer-like pitch, oh, it's different. This is like a phonetician dream. Because you wrote dog, and they didn't say duck, they said dog. They said exactly what you wrote. And the child goes, that's all right, isn't it? No, it's not all right, because everybody else says, but it's not a duck. So if they were to now use this particular text that they type, and if you actually now did what I do for this lecture, which is audio record the avatar saying the sentence or words, if they are saying dog and not duck, the little story children produce ain't gonna be about the duck. So even though children will produce an audiobook, right? Which is cool. An audiobook? Wonderful. An audiobook means there's an audio. Someone has to read. Well, someone had to write it before it was read, right? So they write it there. And if they write dog, the avatar is going to talk about the dog. The audiobook, once it records the avatar saying that stuff, will be about the dog. And at the end of the day, the story is finished. Nobody understands it, right? So the students will have to find ways to actually get it right. And it's not by you telling them how you spell a dog, them trying. When they try, they construct and reconstruct, construct and reconstruct. And actually, you may not relate to it as a useful thing because you go, a big deal, just write the dog and that's it. For you, it isn't. It's boring. But for them, it isn't. For them, it's boring what you do now, listening to me. But you're sitting here now for 1.5 hours or longer, I don't know. See what I'm saying? So you're doing trial and error with me. Here, I am your avatar. And that's there. You can see how much is there that we could actually use it for. Now, this is promoted as the coolest thing on the planet. I don't think so, but I am not eclectic when it comes to pedagogy, but eclectic when it comes to imaginative techniques for enabling children to look at things differently. You know about group reading?
The goal is to actually read.
So you type in a text into the little square.
So you paste
you can, as a teacher, take the story that you read together or whatever. You type, you paste it there.
So
look what happens.
And I
You
have to
click
say
here
the
to
word
play.
first so I can actually time it well. So suddenly something
amazing happened
was
as Cinderella
sitting
was
all
sitting.
alone. There was a burst of
You want a
light
speed reading?
and a fairy appeared.
You can make it faster, you can make it slower. And that's a good thing. You can make it really slow.
You would love to go to the ball, and so you shall. How can I, dressed in rags? Cinderella replied. The servants will turn me away.
Now imagine all kids, 20 of them screaming that text out.
Let's have a look.
It's no different than learning to sing a song together in a group.
It,
Will it teach them something? Who knows?
Even 50,
but it's not your voice dictating all the time, right? They're actually looking what adults create at schools on the computer. We know, because Daddy has a computer, right? Or whatever. Computers are everywhere. We now know it. I mean, they know it.
To save, this is 40. Okay, so
I slowed it down even further. First I had it at 300. You should see how it sounds at 300. You can't even pronounce it.
Amazing happened.
You could do a test. Make it at 200 at some stage and see how much kids got out of it. Competition. And they would say nothing. And it's all right.
Okay.
Here they are testing themselves. Can we actually do that? Can we read it? Read it fast, read it slow. Read it first fast together, and they go, then slowly, then again fast, but not as fast. Do you want to? Who said practice makes perfect? Here it is. Not that I believe in it, but here it is. It's one way, because when you slow it down, speed it up, slow it down, speed it up, what do? They reconstruct. They reconstruct relationships between the eyes, between everybody who is actually reading at the same time as you are reading, and so on. There's a lot of things happen. I cannot name them all. The point is, it's a different emotional and also cognitive experience. Nothing wrong with it. What also they learn about the text, if it is just displaying one thing at the time. Hey? What do they learn? Fluency, yes, fluency matters. They learn the exercise for fluency. Fluency is a tricky word in curriculum. I don't really want to go into it, but something like they learn that there has to be a flow. Now I have slowed it down. If you use it with children,
you can't even see the text yet.
Now doesn't matter. They can type the text into the PowerPoint. You can type. It really doesn't matter. What are they doing? What are they learning here? That it goes from left to the right. Do you think it's obvious? It isn't. And they can actually work together with the speed. I think there's one slower than this one, and that's it. I will actually make this available to you all, because this particular
you don't have to make it this long. You can just make
animation is not in Anglo-Saxon PowerPoints. So, as you know, I stole it from a French PowerPoint, which was all over the world, so I just kept it.
Down further.
Now, isn't it interesting? So they can learn it, and they can also try to read word by word. Very good for dyslexic children. For all children, but dyslexic children sometimes cannot get the order right. So when the order is showing itself to them this way, so they don't see everything.
So up to you, but you can see
they see what matters.
Quite well.
You know that in Word and in PowerPoint you have the speak command, and it will read what you identify. So it can read words only or whole sentence. So you select, and it reads what you actually select. That's very good, because the children can actually click on particular things and hear them back. You can click forward, backwards, you can play the same sentence and so on. So and a different software is here. It's probably available for free on iPads or something. I don't know. I don't have an iPad yet. Not until actually. Did you see that the text that the computer was reading was highlighted? And that's really good. Because sometimes you may actually have a group work for children where they actually sit together and they actually look at the screen watching this happen. They may not be able to read it, but they hear it and develop a relationship, which is exactly what the other three systems were doing, but this one does it differently. So you can see how many loops we are breaking here. That what we're trying to show to children is that there is a place for writing. And we can do it in a number of things, and we've got another another 4 weeks before the assignments, or 5 weeks to actually show to you in a bigger picture. But at this very moment, what we're saying is people write. Text is legitimate. This is how it looks. This is how it develops, left to right. There's a relationship between the length of the sound and the length. There's a matching between how long is the word or how long is the phrase and how you actually type it and so on. So there's a lot of things happening. And there's a reason why we pronounce things differently depending on how we write. That's why spelling does matter. Now, so it does matter because however you will spell it, it will sound differently to the people who will actually listen to it. So there's a lot of things. So you can see how much reconstruction was possible, how those ways in which children were reconstructing depended on them. Surely I didn't exhaust it, and surely there are other things we could do. But that was very different from going A, P, P, L, E. Everyone for half an hour write A, P, P, L, E. Very different. It doesn't test anything. But when you actually do it yourself and you write that stuff and things happen differently because you wrote not exactly an apple, but you wrote something else, it's very awareness raising. And now just to back it up with theory, when people have Alzheimer's, when people are in aged care centers and their memories and their capacities are going away, it has been proven and it is reported that they've done the research on something like, I don't know, 250,000 people, older people, and it was, the only way these people, the only exercises that these people did in order to still maintain some sort of quality of memory or quality of life, they did with dementia and Alzheimer's people, demented and Alzheimer's people, they did 3 different procedures, and the 2 were typical, you know, your pen and paper and all of that, and the only difference, long-term difference that was made was simple online games. Now you also, from YouTube and from actually word of mouth, you know that with little children, when they have problems with literacy skills, what do people do? They send them to some sort of remedial school. And what is the remedial school doing? Using computers. And why? And because, you know, it's one thing to actually watch your mother cook, and it's the other thing when you actually take the ingredients and you do it yourself. Well, the point is, it's a different thing when your mom was cooking and you were sitting there and say, hey, sure, I can do that. Then you come home, you do your own thing, and you go like, how the heck did that go? And all the little things, you know, you can actually do you have a general understanding of how it looks. But when it comes to those little minute pieces, there are gaps. Anyway, so you can see that technology, when used for empowerment, like we were looking now today, how many of reconstructions it allowed children to do without you actually resorting to explanation and explanation. And you might be in a school where half of the students don't understand you in any case, but also you explain in a way that you think should be explanatory, just like I do. But it doesn't mean that actually I'm answering your questions in your head. Right? So what we're doing in classroom could be good, but sometimes we actually, all of it is based on assumptions. Remember I said to you all these 12 weeks will be about assumptions. We're doing this based on assumptions about what should be good or explanatory, but that doesn't mean that it is. Get the kids, explore their assumptions. Explore their assumptions, not you teach them yours. Explore their own assumptions. and therefore reconstruct. And if they do it in order to record those little pieces and produce an audiobook, they will see that talking about hum and dog ain't gonna cut the cake. They will have to do better than that, and they will look for resources, and then they will get you and say, Miss, why is that saying hum? And I say, why do you think? Because you're a good teacher. And maybe there will be other things that you could actually utilize for children to actually explore why home is home and not home, rather than just coming with a triangle and say, oh, here it is, this is the answer. No, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe you will have other things to actually enable children to explore. Maybe you tell, if you only have one resource, say them, well, if it's not saying home, maybe we need to type something else there. Let them type until they're sweating. And what they will learn that very often in English, the silent E makes a difference. The software allows them to type whatever they want at the end. And the avatar is going to say patiently what you wrote until you get it right, or you ask someone, or whatever. The point is, once you went through these reconstructions, then the answer would be so needed by the child, they will get it. But when you bring the answer when they don't really need it yet because they're not ready. So anyway, I'm just going to leave it here. As you can see, there are lots of things that I wanted us to look at. Like, instead of talking about what is text, I was going to talk with you what text is not. And so on. But we're going to leave it for next week. Nothing will happen. And this woman tells us exactly what text is not. The danger of a single story. That's where I'm going to take next week, okay? About the danger of a single story, which ties up with today. The danger of one path from the question to the answer. That's the teacher's story, right? Well, you didn't get that right, well, I give you the answer. Your path is done. Your goal was done. Children pop out and they all write home. But they didn't go through their own stories. They didn't test it. They didn't try. And it's a danger of a single story, your story. And your story is just your assumptions. The door is closed. The door to the lecture room was closed. Was your assumption, was your story. The danger of a single story was that you weren't in the room, although you could have been. So no big deal, right? But that's what I'm saying. The danger of a single story is that we make assumptions, and when we don't actually enable for multiple reconstructions, we're running with our assumptions, and sometimes we're running ourselves down. So that's going to be next week. But what I would like you to do is to creatively think. What was creative today about my ideas? Not just the reconstruction, but I already gave you a task. Create an audiobook. Right? So I wonder how I could use that in a task, like if my children were doing, or how I would use all this software. Say, imagine. I mean, that's what you could write on Learn. Imagine. I have no idea how to teach it. I don't have any resources. All I have is online little software that Ania made available. How can I now take children who have no idea about writing to the next step with this software? Ania said, but even with this software alone, I could. So how could I do that? And if you come up with some activity, you see, it just takes us a step forward. So rather than submitting to me in week 11 all these activities as a draft for assignment 2, and then I say, well, you know, all I can do then is basically say, but you are not actually creating activities that support children on an equal basis. I said that and you don't understand and you resubmit it in any case, hoping for a pass. So instead of doing this, we can just actually start planning a little bit now by exercising our imagination. Just a little bit our imagination. What would I do? What would I do? And all this text, this creative text, then you put into your assignment too. So it's no big struggle, like what should I read? What should I look at? How am I going to do that? By week 4, we have already something. Not only we have our assignment 1 written, did I point to a friend? Not only we have our assignment 1 pretty much written now, assignment 2 is starting to get shape. Won't happen until you exercise your imagination and type a little bit. If we get 3 or 4 examples of activities, it's a lot. And your justification for this type of pedagogy will not be which says we must, but it will be all we know. We construct through reconstruction. You don't want to put Ania Lian as a reference? Put Piaget. He's famous. He said it. Sort of towards the first quarter of the video, he just says it. I know, because I used that sentence in my own paper. And then they reconstruct according to their goals, which are validated through their social interactions. Here's the whole rationale of literacy teaching. Simple, clear, everybody understands and knows what to do. That's the difference of a good definition. If someone reads it and knows what to do, it's a good definition. If it looks like magic with lots of complicated words and doesn't tell us what we should be doing as a result, bad definition. Okay. Any questions? Are you happy with that assignment, not with that sort of way of working now, taking it into a level where you will create a little tiny activity from these resources and think to yourself, what would I do with those things? Or produce a piece of text that says, these are the reasons why I would not use those things. Do you see? I mean, I'm allowing for both. I allow for all kinds of differences, provided you can actually defend it. So when there was a response of Miroslava to Gemma, Miroslava said, I want this particular thing to happen in classroom. Well, that may be so. But in order, if you want it, you can't just want it. You've got to justify it. And you can't justify a technique through, I believe. You have to justify it through a philosophical statement, like what knowledge is. How is knowledge constructed? And nobody will say that knowledge is constructed by first pronouncing and then writing. That's just a technique. It has to be actually linked to something higher. So you can say otherwise. You can say, I wouldn't use it. But then you have to connect it to something and justify it. So that would be really interesting to read too. Okay. Well, thank you, guys. See you next week. Thank you. My project buys it. So, because I wouldn't spend money on it. It's not going to be an iPad in any case, what I buy. Oops. It's a little bit funny with this mouse.
Or select Text Aloud from the Windows Start menu options, and you're on your way. As you launch Text Aloud,